that's a problem. You need to be able to bring information and say, here's what I found. Here's the explicit ways that I found it.
Okay.
Here's how you can find it.
Boss versus leader. I don't want to go on that particular area because so hello Karen. First of all, a very warm welcome to my channel that is Salesforce Testing Guy. How are you?
Wonderful. Very excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
That's perfect. And Karen, as you already aware, in this podcast, we are going to discuss one of the hot and trending topic that is, everywhere mentioned on the LinkedIn. That is how different testing communities are actually adding the value in the testing ecosystem for a better future.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this because community is everything.
Yes, true. And before we proceed to the set of questions that I have prepared for you, I just want you to please introduce yourself to my audience so that my audience have a better insight about you.
Of course. I'm Karen of Karen Test Stuff. I'm a software tester with a lot of curiosity and a heart for the testing community that I'm a part of. I share what I'm learning with others through writing and more recently through my YouTube channel. I also hope to Twitch stream some software testing in the future with some input from some viewers. I enjoyed volunteering at my first conferences over the past month and really look forward to being involved with more communities as I expand my world and travel for the next year. So I hope that if your listeners are curious about software testing as well, that we can all connect and learn from each other.
True. Because learning is the thing that is a never-ending process, and communities are doing this thing or checking that particular domain in a best possible way by, you can say that the speaker part, volunteering part, so on and so forth. The list is very long. So, Karen, my first question is very simple for you. Like, how communities are helping different individuals for a better future?
Oh my goodness, there are so many ways.
Yes,
The
please tell
first
me.
thing that's the most important is to find out what your needs are from a community personally, because there are so many different options out there and different ways to get involved that if you just want to consume content, there's a place for you. If you want to create content, there's a place for you. If you want to get involved in lead communities, there's a place for you. So there are all of these different roles within each community, and each community kind of supports people in a different way.
Okay. If I'm talking about, value is the thing that matters, and value is the thing that exists. And because of this existence, everyone can, imagine that yes, something I am adding value. For example, if we are we are communicating right now, and we are, discuss about the community part. According to your perception and experience, like you are very active on LinkedIn, to be very frank, and I got to know a number of things about you. Like, what is the definition of value according to you in the testing community?
Value to me within the testing community. I would say I most value the people within the community, the actual bodies that you speak to on a daily basis who say, yes, you can do this, or please, we welcome your voice, come speak to us.
Okay.
That's what I really value, are the people who are open and want to share the knowledge that they've gained with everyone else. That's very important to me.
True. And, definitely communities are adding value. But what about the learning part? Because learning, I believe that learning is a never ending process. Because if you think you are not capable enough to learn, then there is no use how much you earn, to be very frank. So, your learnings from different communities as per your experience.
Oh my goodness. Once again, there's so many, but I'll just start with a few of the benefits that I have gained through this community is more diverse testing heuristics, because the more that I learn about other people that are different from me, the better tester I can be. Like, for instance, a lot of names that are unfamiliar to me in the US that are more common in other parts of the world may be limited based on the developer's experience with that group of people. So for instance, text field limits. So if you have to have at least 3 letters in your last name, does that mean that the people with only 2 letters in their last name don't exist?
Okay.
So that's a specific heuristic that I use in my testing because I've learned that there are more people out there with those names.
True. Perfect example, I must say, because if I'm talking about the another example, we don't know, like we are testing an email ID functionality where we basically use as a tester test@test.com. We have never imagined like this. Actually, if I'm talking frankly with you, if I'm speaking frankly with you on that particular point, this is a existing email ID, and we neglect that particular part. And if we are talking about one more example that I learned from the different individuals while attending different conferences, I found one thing that motivates me. Like even we don't have an idea about like what is the actual limit of the email ID. There are so many things that we have to explore, and only these things can be explored while attending different conferences, attending as a volunteer in different communities for the better future of yourself. So thank you so much for adding that particular as an example. It really motivates all those individuals who don't have a penny idea about like what is actually different communities are doing in order to add the value in the testing ecosystem. So thank you so much, Karen, for raising this point. It literally means a lot. And Karen, as you know that we are a generation, and being a part of 21st century, we are in very hurry. We are very hurry in terms of doing anything. But what about like what is your perception on that on a single point? Like in today's era, your network is your net worth, and networking is a skill. I believe that. What is your point on that particular perception?
Yes, absolutely. As someone who is maybe surprisingly to you an introvert, okay, I get a lot of energy from interacting with people online because I feel like I can more truly be my authentic self when I have time to process my thoughts and then respond. Okay. Whereas in person, I'm a little more awkward. It's a little harder for me to structure my thoughts immediately. So I appreciate the extra time to kind of slow down a little bit and really put thought behind my intention. Okay. So I appreciate that we would like to be faster and more efficient, but sometimes it does take a little bit of extra intentionality.
True. Karen, I believe in one thing, like to be very frank, I'm a very big fan of writing. Mm-hmm. Because writing is the thing that makes a difference. Because someone knows that, like I believe one of the quote of the legend, I must say, founder of Microsoft, you can say that Bill Gates, you are born to express, not to impress, And how to express, there are so many ways. Like right now we are discussing, we are speaking is an art. But what about all those individuals who are very good in writing? And for example, as a tester, your writing skills plays a very vital role. When you report any of the bug to the developer, and if a developer is new into that particular domain, at that moment in time, writing skills plays a very vital role. Yes. So what is your perception on a single point, like importance of writing skills as a software tester?
Absolutely. Well, I think it even is more basic than that. If we take it back to just basic communication skills, it doesn't matter how good of a writer you are if you write in a judgmental way. If you bring problems to someone and say, here, this is an issue, fix this, you did this wrong. It's important. Who's going to be affected by it? And then take that information once again and say, okay, here's the risk. What would you like to do with it? Because I feel very strongly that it's not our role to make the final decision on whether something goes or stays. That's a business decision.
That's perfect. And one more thing, Karen, from your experience, I must say, because I believe that testing is an art, testing is a commerce, and testing is a science. I believe that. I have a proper justification for all those criteria also. But according to your experience and perception, whenever any person who associate or try to associate with the different communities, like in software testing, what all things that he or she can learn from that particular thing. Although, for example, if a person who is not confident enough, he must have got some confidence after interacting with different individuals. Other than that, what all things that a person, normal person, can gain from that particular thing?
I've learned a lot from just the few limited communities that I've found myself in, because I'm just starting to dip my toes into the worldwide software testing community. But I'm very involved with specifically the Ministry of Testing, and I've learned a lot from them.
Okay.
Specifically, that there was a community of software testers. That's a big thing to realize, because a lot of people just don't know.
Definitely.
And they don't know that all these people are here to support and encourage and hope for you to succeed. So that was the first thing that I learned. The second thing that I learned was how to speak in front of a crowd through their 99-second talks that they have at some of their conferences.
Wow.
Where anyone can come and speak on any topic for a total of 99 seconds.
Okay.
And it's a really nice way to get used to putting your face in front of people.
That's perfect.
Sure. And even the biggest thing that I think that I've learned, even after learning that there was a community, was that even new voices have value.
Okay.
Because as soon as I was accepted into the community, people started encouraging me, like Simon Tomes and Lee Marshall and Melissa Fisher have started encouraging me to write about my learning journey, and to Lee specifically inspired me to start my YouTube channel through his work on video. Wow. So all of these different things I've learned, and not just Ministry of Testing, but Agile Testing Days as well.
Okay.
Where I went to my first conference and I learned that everyone is welcome to be their most true, authentic self in that community. That's not always the case, but it sure is with that community. They see it as a sign of respect that you bring your full self to them.
True. At the end, one point that you have mentioned about the respect, I personally believe that if you associated with any of the communities, I'm not talking about the especially software testing community, you must have gained some respect. And as a human being, the respect is something, and self-respect both plays a very vital role. We are a part of a century where everyone is looking for I can do this, I can do this, I can do n number of things. But the type of respect if you gain from an anonymous person, I must say, anonymous person, that plays a very vital role. Because I personally believe there are n number of criteria that a person can learn from the testing communities. Like if I'm talking about my perception, I gain confidence. How to speak in front of a person who don't have a penny of idea about you, like who you are, what you are doing, how much value you are adding. So the list is very long, but the way you can express your points, it's tremendous, to be very frank. And
thank you.
And another fire question, I must say. How you are going to motivate any beginner that you have to join different testing communities? If you have to motivate any beginner that you have to join this community or you have to join this community, so what all things or what all techniques do you follow?
Well, what I've given advice to in the past is make a list of what's important to you. What values do you hold? Do you value people? Do you value technology? Do you value new insights? Do you value not being pressured to participate? Because some communities do require that you participate in order to be a part of them. And that can be stressful for some people, but it can also be inspiring for others.
Okay.
So it's important that you know yourself what you would like to get out of this. And then you can seek out those communities and those people who fulfill those needs.
Wow. So I also wanted to add one point here. Like, as a human being, we can easily, complete our needs by investing money and so on. But what about the wants? Like, do you think we can fulfill our wants by associated with different testing communities? I just wanted to know your perception on that particular point, because this is a very bold question, to be very frank.
Well, I'd have to answer it personally that I do. I find a lot of value in my community, and I think that I've tailored my experience online to be very inclusive.
Okay.
And there are a few people that I refuse to follow just because they're not as inclusive as others, where they say, this is the way we do things and no one gets a say because anyone else is wrong. And that, I don't vibe with that. That's not my space. That's not a space for me. Some people need an authority figure to help lead them and help grow and be inspired. It's just not for me.
True.
But that's okay.
That's perfect because everyone have our different perception of life. That matters. And as a quality assurance engineer or as a software tester, to be very frank, our main agenda should be like this, like quality is the thing that really matters. That is why I also follow one of the quote of Henry Ford, like quality is a job one, and that's perfect. That exists. To be very frank.
Mm-hmm.
And one more question from you, from the perception of a leadership quality, because communities are driven by leaders, not by bosses. And there is a lot of difference between, if we search on internet, we got to know n number of difference between them on different basis of difference. But I want your perception on that particular question, like what is your message to all the testing leaders who are running any different communities, whether Ministry of Testing is there or the remaining one is there?
My message to the leaders.
Yes.
Oh, that's a wonderful question. I think lower the barrier to entry.
Wow.
Do whatever you can to get more people involved, to share the message of testing, to share the message of quality. Do everything you possibly can to get as many people involved, and you'll thrive.
That's perfect. Perfect way to, explain your bold point in a single line. Perfect way. But I also wanted to add one point here because I have a number of questions for you after interacting with you right now. I believe in one thing in terms of leadership, because this is not a podcast session. It's a discussion session on a particular topic that is going to be add value in the testing ecosystem at any cost for me. My definition or a quote, usually I follow a number of quotes, to be very frank. For a leadership, I follow one quote. A leader is a person who knows the way, shows the way, and goes the way.
Ooh.
But
that's good.
But sometime after a few different communities are there. I don't want to name that particular communities there. They make communities as a business. Like at that moment in time, so many people have to suffer for that particular thing. So how to overcome from that particular situation all those persons who are associated with that type of communities? I want like your perception on that particular point.
I think it's okay to try different things. Just because something doesn't work well for you the first time doesn't mean you can't revisit it later, see if anything's changed. I do everything that I can in my power to cut out as much toxicity as possible around me because I want to surround myself with positive, learning, sharing people. But if you have found yourself in a situation that you're unhappy with, just remember that you have the ability to change your life however you like. You have the ability to make choices based on things that happen around you. And you can choose to remain vulnerable and open to new opportunities. But that's a choice that you have to be comfortable with and have to be able to make for yourself.
Yes. One more thing in that particular scenario, different testing leaders are doing different things or applying different things in a different way. I have used so many times different in a single question. Now, how much a person is going to be look different if he is associated with different testing communities?
Oh, I see. Well, I live by the rule that you can't control what other people think of you.
Yes.
So just because you're involved with a community that perhaps not everyone agrees with, honestly doesn't matter. You can have those conversations and learn from each other once again based on what your ideas and your opinions are. But I would never totally exclude someone's ideas just because I don't agree with them.
Okay.
I can disagree and still understand where they're coming from and have that line of communication open with them.
True.
And that's very important with me.
Okay. As far as the important part of different communities, as we are talking about or as we are discussing about that particular thing, like what is your message to all those beginners? I'm not using the word freshers here because I believe that freshers is not freshers, they are beginners. Freshers is a negative word, so I'm not going to use here the fresher word, so we have to ignore that particular thing. What all messages to you, as per your experience and perception, to all the beginners that yes, communities are doing something, you have to doing them.
Yes, it's scary. It is scary. I am not downplaying that at all. You have to have courage. You have to have courage to meet people and to listen to new ideas and immerse yourself in that environment. But it's okay to make mistakes. So, like I said, if you get into a community and it's not fulfilling for you, you don't have to stay. You have a choice on whether to expand your reach elsewhere. So, my biggest piece of advice would be just to be yourself and know yourself. Know your limits. Know what you're comfortable with. Know what you'd like to get out of the community. Do a lot of introspection as you're thinking of joining these communities. And do your research. Talk to people in the communities. Reach out to them. Say, excuse me, I am looking to get some support on this topic.
Okay.
And I hear you may be an expert in it.
Okay.
Do you have any resources that can help me? Or do you have a community that I can check out? Or do you have a YouTube channel I can watch?
True. Love the way you express your thoughts. Love the way. I want to add one point here. Now again, one quote about challenges. Don't limit your challenges. Challenge your limits.
Yes.
One of the things. As you have mentioned about the challenging part, now, so at that moment in time, this quote plays a very vital role for the beginners. And one point you have mentioned about like scary thing about. I also wanted to add one point here. Be true, be simple, be kind, and do it for yourself like this.
Yes. Oh, that's so important. How have I not said that yet? Be kind. Yes.
This is the thing actually matters. And want to add more one more point here. According to your perception, like what all mistakes are currently doing by the leaders who are running different communities, as per your experience, because you are very much active on a platform, social media platform like LinkedIn.
Well, I won't call out anyone specifically. Okay. So I don't know that I can give concrete examples, but I can give theory examples.
Yes, please.
One of the mistakes that people often make that I see is thinking that the people in their community all have one mind, where they're all similar learners, they have similar learning styles, they have similar communication styles and similar needs, which is often not the case. There are so many different types of needs and different types of learning styles that people need to cater to, especially as the topic of neurodivergence becomes more prevalent, especially with people who may learn by reading better or may learn by tutorials better or learn by video better. That's something that everyone needs to keep in mind, whereas a lot of communities will just produce one type of content.
Okay. Lovely point. You have diversified the different domains, because if you consider like we have three persons, John, A, B, and C. Three persons are there. One person name is A, second is B, and third is C. A loves to read, B loves to write, C loves to watch. We
Mhm.
have to make sure and develop a culture of doing something differently for different mindset. Because as a tester, mindset, if you have a good mindset, that plays a lovely role in your testing journey. And this is the last question if I'm talking about of this particular discussion that we are currently doing. There are n number of communities are doing different works in a different way. But according to you, what is the future of communities?
Future of communities.
Yes.
The future of communities, I'll tell you something that we need for the future of communities.
Yes, please tell me.
We need diversity within the communities because that fosters an overall feeling of inclusiveness when people see others who look like them represented in leadership.
Okay.
That is what keeps people sticking around, knowing that their heart is being taken into consideration.
That's perfect. Perfect. So, I want to add that particular question. Basically, not a question, it's a quote. Like, expectations of any human plays a very vital role when he or she, irrespective of the gender. I also want to add this particular because communities are gender independent. It does not matter at all. If you are having a knowledge or if you don't have a knowledge, it doesn't matter whether you are he, she, so on and so forth. You are always and always most welcome. This is the also thing that I also wanted to add here. And one more thing about the expectation part, because in our conversation we have so many things that is, nearby the expectation part. Because as a human being, we have our some expectations. That why I should join, what is my benefit over there, how this value is going to add something new in my personal life or professional life. For that purpose, I want to add one quote like, about the expectation part. Always expect more from yourself than from others. Because expectations from yourself inspire a lot, while expectations from others hurts a lot.
Yes. And you can't enforce your expectations on someone else because they have different values.
Yes.
So that's why I try to live by that as well.
Thank you. Yes. A wonderful point that you have mentioned. So thank you so much, Karen, for joining and sharing your valuable key points about the diversification part, about the beginners part, about how different testing communities are actually adding the value in the testing ecosystem, and many more. The list is very long. So again, thank you so much, Karen, for joining and sharing your valuable key points. It literally means a lot for me and my channel, that is Salesforce Testing Time.
Thank you. I appreciate the invitation to speak. I'm so honored.
Thank you.